What a beautiful, cool morning. I'm on my way out to check on Babe. Babe is our beautiful Jersey milk cow who gave us a gorgeous calf on Thanksgiving Day last year. Just a few weeks ago, we weaned her calf, and since then I have been in the process of drying her up to get ready for her new calf that should come sometime in December. It's been a few days now since she has been milked, and so every morning I am going out to greet her and to brush her and to check to see that everything is healing up and drying up within her udder. She's such a beautiful girl, and she really loves to be brushed. Her calf, Ralphie, when he was weaned, he joined the beef herd, and he was so excited to be part of that herd. He had been looking at them from afar for 9 months. The video recently where we moved the cows into the hayfield, he was already part of that herd, and he has just adjusted perfectly. So every day until December, when the new calf is born, I'll come out to Babe with a brush her because she loves it, and make sure she is doing well. All of the other animal chores have been done this morning. There are 2 projects that we are going to work on today.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead, where for the last 8 years we've been building our dream life here in the Missouri Ozarks since leaving the corporate world in Phoenix, Arizona. Today, we do have a couple projects that we need to work on. The first one's not so much a project, it's just a chore that we need to get done. We've been telling you guys throughout the summer that all in all, we've actually had a pretty wet summer here in the Missouri Ozarks. Normally, come about June, maybe the end of June, the rain just shuts off here and everything just kind of starts to dry up. This year, we actually had pretty consistent rain all through the summer until about the beginning of August, and then that's when the rain just stopped.
So normally during the summer, we are watering our orchard and the grapes and the berries every week because it just doesn't provide enough rain for them. We look for an inch of rain a week in order to keep these orchard trees and the grapes and berries very healthy and productive. But over the last probably 6 weeks or so, there's been basically no rain. So we're approaching the point with the orchard trees and stuff where we really need to start supporting them so that they're nice and healthy and can go into winter in a really good kind of situation.
It was kind of a wake-up call this morning when we woke up and the thermometer showed 38 degrees outside. And that's just, kind of a wake-up that winter is going to be around the corner. Now, these are we've had a couple chilly mornings like that, and they're kind of a fluke this time of year. Looks like the next few days the lows are only in the 60s, but it does get your mind start thinking about winter and how, before too long, those are going to be the normal temps, even much colder than that. And these trees, and like Sarah said, the grapes and everything, they need to be healthy and strong going into winter so that next spring they can wake up nice and strong as well. The way we like to water is by using soaker hoses. And basically what we will do is we will just hook a lead hose to our one of our frost-free hydrants. We'll connect that to a soaker hose, and then we'll just run the soaker hose along the base of the trees, and we'll cover one entire row of trees at a time.
I'll go ahead and set a timer so that we don't get busy throughout the day and forget to come and move them from the next row. But throughout the day, we'll come back and move the soaker hose from one row to the next until all 5 rows are watered for at least an hour. And we may need to continue doing this weekly until the freeze comes or until we get some really nice rain. I have a timer set. We'll come back in an hour, move them to the next row. Now it is time to get started on the next project.
When you've got a considerable amount of land, one thing that is kind of a never-ending project is land management or pasture management. We have been working hard over the last couple of years to kind of get our pastures under control, especially when it comes to thistles. We've been concentrating on the worst areas first, and we've gotten some of those pretty well under control, but there's one little section left that we are still working on, and that's what we're going to bring you guys along for today.
In the spring, we knocked back a bunch of thistle in the area Kevin was talking about that was really bad. But this area we didn't end up having time for. So we're kind of in a situation right now where if we don't do something about it now, we are really going to regret it in the future.
Right. Right now, all of the thistles are about to flower and go to seed. In fact, some of them are flowering, but they haven't dropped.
There are a lot of flowers.
And they haven't dropped their seed yet.
Right.
So we are going today, and we are going to do our best to chop down as many as we can and burn them. And you guys, you're not going to believe how many thistles are back in this area. So let's jump on the UTV, let's go for a little ride, and let's get to work. Well, you guys, this is the area that we are talking about here, and you can see how overgrown this is with thistle. Now, here in Missouri, we have 9 different types of thistles. This particular type of thistle is called tall thistle, probably because it's named because it's tall. It can actually grow up to 10 feet tall. This looks like this is about as tall as it's going to get, but this is still pretty darn tall.
This is the typical time of year where the tall thistle will flower. Now, tall thistle is not a perennial type thistle. It's actually a biennial. So it spreads primarily by its seed. It will germinate and grow basically the plant part the first year, and then the second year, at the end of the growing season right now, it will shoot up really tall and grow these flowers, which will then go to seed, and then the wind will just blow the seed everywhere. There are varieties of thistles that are perennials, where if you just cut it down at the bottom, because it spreads through roots, it's not going to do much good at all.
It'll get rid of what's there that year, but
Right.
It won't help for future years.
But we don't need to worry about that with this tall thistle because it's not a perennial and it won't grow back every year. Cutting it at the base, taking them away and burning the flowers is a fantastic way for us to control them.
Now this area back here is one of the areas where our cattle graze, and this is an area that we really do want to get under control. What I would like to do is, after we get all of this cut down, I would like this to be an area where we might feed hay over the winter, and I think that will help suppress some of the weeds in the coming years. The problem is we don't have a good way to get hay back here right now, so sometime in the near future, not today or part of this video, but sometime in the near future, we do plan on putting a gate back here so that we can come through our hayfield with bales of hay over the winter and then feed back here. And that will help not only spread some better seed back here, but it will help suppress the weeds. Now the other thing is, this is an area where I absolutely love to hunt, and deer season is only a couple weeks away, and my deer blind actually looks out over this area back here. So by getting all of these thistles out of the way now and not giving the deer quite as much cover back here is going to be very nice. It also means that if I need to track a deer, I don't need to be walking through all of this thistle, potentially in the dark, to try to find a deer. So getting these out of here is going to be a win-win for everybody, including all of the animals. I think that's about as much as we'll be able to fit on this first load. Plus, it's time to go move the hose out in the orchard. So we're going to take this load back Then we'll be back to do more work. If you hold it tight, I'll pull it. We're back up by our burn pit. This is the burn barrel that we use. It's called a burn cage. We've had this for several years already now, and it's holding up pretty well. It's a little warped and like discolored, but this is made out of stainless steel, so it's good and strong. It won't rust, but it does get discolored, and you can see it's kind of bowed from the heat over the years. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw all of the thistles in here. In hindsight, we probably should have cut them with shorter stalks on them, so we're gonna try to cut them shorter as we load them in here. I'm gonna put some paper feed sacks down on the bottom so we have something to ignite, and then hopefully this whole thing will just kind of go up. And even if it doesn't burn all of these immediately because they're still kind of green, it should, hopefully the heat will at least kill all of the seeds and make them sterile. The biggest challenge that we're gonna have burning all of this is that, it's not dry, it's still green. That's why it's smoking so much, but we'll see what happens. I did put a little lighter fluid on it as well, so hopefully that will help get things moving along just a little bit.
Thistle flowers like this will continue to develop even after we've cut them from their main root system. These, if we just leave them like this to dry and just, throw them somewhere, the seeds inside of this flower will continue to develop, and they'll still dry out and be able to kind of like float everywhere and spread their seeds. That's why it's important for us to actually get rid of these flowers and get rid of the seed by burning them. We can't just throw them somewhere and be done with them.
Now, my original hope was that we'd be able to bring all of these back and just make a big pile and burn them up, but because it's so dry out right now, we haven't gotten rain in about 6 weeks, I'm a little afraid to do that. This area right here is pretty safe, and this burn cage helps contain everything a little bit, but in an area where we could make a big pile, I'd really be afraid that it would get a little out of control. The wind has also picked up a little bit today, not bad, but in such dry conditions, even a little bit of wind can make something spread really fast. So we're gonna see how this works out. We're gonna load this thing about half full at a time, and then we're just gonna see. It's almost out already, I think. I'm gonna take the lid off here in a minute and see how much of it actually burned and how much is going to, just kind of stay green. As long as the seed heads burn up or got hot enough to kill them, that's all we really care about. There's still quite a few seed heads in there that didn't burn. Well, we've come up with a bit of a new plan. Basically, what we're doing now is we decided that since we don't really need to burn this the entire plant, we're just cutting off the ends that have the seed heads, and then the rest we'll just go dump somewhere back, in the woods somewhere. And then we can just burn these piles that have the seed heads, because really that's the only part that needs to be burned. And this way, instead of like 5 or 6 loads of the burn barrel, it's going to be probably just 1 load of the burn barrel per load, that we bring back up here. So I think even though this part here takes a little extra time, in the long run, I think it will save us time. Time to water the berries. These have a permanent soaker hose that we just leave here. So we can just hook that hose up to it, turn it on, and it'll water all of the grapes. All right, well, we're back for another round of thistles. I think this time we have a little different plan though. We're gonna cut them. We're gonna make a big pile of them right here on the ground. And then the only part we're gonna take back up to the burn pit are the tops. That way we're not having to haul all of the stems both directions. And it looks like we have some visitors. The cows came over to see what we're up to and enjoy the shade.
Well, we pretty much have most of the thistles cut down. We're going to start cutting the seed heads off of them. The stems can just stay back here. They'll compost down over time. We're hoping that we'll be able to get just like all of these seed heads in the UTV so we can haul it back and burn them.
Well, it doesn't look like we're going to fit all of these in on one trip, so we're going to take what we have, plus it's time to move the hose again. So we're going to go do that, start burning these, and then come back for the rest.
And the last row will be the raspberries and the blackberries. This hose doesn't quite reach, so we have one hooked up over here that lengthens that. And here we also have another, just a permanent soaker hose that works really well. Okay, let's turn that back on.
Well, it looks like that first round of seed heads burned down pretty well. So we're going to do the same thing on this round. Basically, we're going to put paper feed sacks in, then we're going to layer it with more of the thistle seed heads. Then we'll put more feed bags, and we'll just kind of keep going until it's filled up. Well, we're back out to cut off more seed heads. Hopefully this will be our last round, but it might be one more round after this. We'll just have to see how far we get today. I think we got all the thistle cut for today that we're going to get done. It's been about 8 hours since we started cutting the thistle back here, so we are ready for a break. We started just after chores this morning, and it's now supper time. But before we head back to the house to burn this final load, I wanted to show you guys, now that this is cleared out, how much better this will be when deer hunting season starts. So again, my blind is up here behind me. I'm going to climb up in there and I'm going to bring the camera along just to show you the view from up in my blind. Now last year, I have to tell you, last year when I went into my blind for the first time of the season, I got totally attacked by wasps. So about a month ago, I came out after dark and threw a bug bomb in there, and I'm hoping that it took care of anything that might be living in there, but I won't know until I climb up there and get inside again today. So hopefully there's nothing in there, but if you suddenly see me jump and have the camera with me, you'll know what's going on. I'm gonna be a little cautious here. I don't see anything flying out at me, so that's a good sign. Typically, once you light off one of those bug bombs, they keep lasting for a couple months at least. Ooh, I do see a lot of dead stuff in here, though. All right, let's go look out the window on the other side. So this is the view looking out of my blind at the spot where we just cleared all of the thistles. Really looks nice. There's no thistles that I can see from this spot right here. There are still some over looking out the other side of the blind that we'll need to take care of another day, but these are all gone. And now that these are cut down, I might be able to even get back here with my tractor and do some bush hogging to get rid of some of this perilla mint that's also growing back here. And that'll make it even easier to see the deer when they come up over that bluff. But all in all, this was a good project done, and it's going to be a much nicer if I need to walk through that area to look for a deer.
Well, the end of the day is going to include taking this last batch of the flowers to the burn barrel so we can just burn them and we will be done with them. I am so happy that all of these seed heads are going to be gone and we won't have to worry about them completely reseeding brand new millions and millions of tiny little thistle plants in the spring.
Well, the final batch is burning, or at least smoking, and that means that this project is complete, at least for today.
It is really good to know that all of those flower heads are not going to dry up and turn into seeds and fly all over the place and just plant thousands and millions more thistle plants all over the hillside.
It's also going to make hunting season much nicer, and I'm happy about that. Hey, you guys, if you're enjoying videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button before you leave. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and as always, remember the best way you can help us is just by sharing our videos. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by the homestead. Take care, and God bless.
God bless.